content is king, content is king, I get it. But context would be queen, and the context really is the, how are we leveraging data versus just being tactical? Because the realization is that we have so much content out there, and it's all noise, guys, right? It is, and we talk about that. So it's about finding that signal, and the only way we can find that signal of creating really good content is through data. Anybody in here that's a brand marketer, or anybody that's a digital marketer, everybody in here should be Google Analytics certified, absolutely. Because if you're not wanting to understand the data, how are you even rolling out your campaigns? How are you rolling out content? You're just assumptive. Like, everything is assumptions. We think we know our audience. We don't know our audience. I mean, it's all bullshit. And the brands that are doing it well are the ones that are actually looking at the data and using that data to actually give them the insights that they need to create that content. You always start with your people. And we have this shiny object syndrome where we always, for some reason, start with the technology. It's people, objective, strategy, technology, and then measurement and optimization. We can't just hire by skill set anymore. We have to hire culture and strengths first, and skills can be learned. That's the reality, right?
I love getting the feedback. From the minute I release an app, I can see people popping up all around the world using it. And I know that my work, all the dozens of hours I put in, is helping these people all around the world to do their computer use that much better. But because it morphed into a business, I've had to teach myself how to write press releases and do promo videos, work with translators and do customer support. These are all these things that you don't normally think a 16-year-old would have to do. I mean, in high school, tech is not cool. You've got Digitech, it's something that the nerds do, the geeks do. It's not something that our top academics are striving for. And I think that is a huge mistake for the individuals and a huge mistake for the country.
There's more power now in the hands of the consumer than at any time in the history of the planet. That is disrupting business big time, because consumers know more about what they want than the store clerks and the boring static websites that are supposed to serve them. What people are looking for today are experiences. How do you now start to shape and craft amazing experiences based around what I need, around what I want, around what I'm looking for, so that I walk away thinking, wow, you didn't just give me a thing, you gave me an experience. And the mistake that corporations make is they sit them in cubicles and they tell them to wait 27 years before they can become the president of the corporation. Well, guess what? These guys won't stick around 27 years. They're making their own corporations, and they're actually changing the world. And you see many emergent companies growing very rapidly that are actually being run by these millennials.
Social media in and of itself is not the revolution. The ability to send a powerful message is, and I think we haven't quite learnt that yet, as Jane touched on. What we're saying is still really the defining feature, rather than just the fact that we've got new places to say it. That's probably why the most successful post I've ever had on Facebook was not about child poverty. It was not about electric trains and things I care deeply about. It was about me telling people about how I got stuck in Wellington on Easter weekend and how me and a group of strangers took a road trip together. I had 14,000 likes on that post. I used to get excited when I cracked 100. So to me, that sent a strong and powerful message to me that actually just people getting to know you through that forum is pretty powerful. The people who come into my office right now are not on Facebook or on Twitter. But equally, the people I interact with on Twitter and Facebook would never, ever consider walking into an MP's office. So I think it's recognizing that we do need to actually keep doing everything, because it's all about different tools to reach different groups of people.
I take that to a real world scenario. If you walked into a party of a group of people and stood there and said, "Hi everyone, I'm here, you're going to love what I've got to say, I'm just going to yell at you and you're going to listen," people would think you're a tosser. What you tend to do is walk around individually talking to people, having a bit of a chat, learning a bit about them, trying to tailor. I'm not going to swear if I'm talking to the grandma, but I'll sort of get a bit, rack it up a bit with the lads or whatever. And that's something that modern technology is now starting to let people do. We can treat people as an individual and actually tailor what you're saying to them.
We found that of those who use the internet at work, 75% said it made them more productive. 5% said it made them less productive, and 20% said it didn't make any difference. The French government passed a law that says employers can no longer contact their employees through smartphones or social networks or through any digital technology after hours without paying them. In 2000, 2001, 90% of the pipe was devoted to downloading, because what could we possibly upload other than a little bit of email? No one anticipated a YouTube where we've been uploading thousands of hours of high definition and now 4K video.
Well, it's not putting people on planet before profit. It's kind of integrating them as one. Because if you put, you know, people for planet before profit, you run out of money to try and solve the problems. But if you put profit in before planet, then you run out of planet. And that's kind of the way we're heading at the moment. And there needs to be a movement in Silicon Valley, as there does need to be a movement here, to encourage entrepreneurs to create companies that will actually matter, that will solve social problems or address environmental issues.
Content should be designed to be inspiring, otherwise there's no point in actually producing it. Because when you're producing content, you're actually competing against these 3 C's. And these 3 C's are really the fundamental part of the internet, which is children, cats, and clients.
Have you guys noticed how when people are doing talks, they do this thing where they pace back and forward and talk and kind of walk. And I'm not saying I'm above it or anything. I'm going to do it too. But there's kind of like, there's this status quo or this rules around where you walk when you're doing a talk on the sort of the stage, right? You can walk over to here, and you can walk kind of, some people walk behind here. But there are these places that you shouldn't walk, right, when you're doing a presentation like this. Like, no one ever walks all the way back to here, right? No one ever walks near to the door, right? And certainly, no one ever walks up here, right? But just because I did this and I chose to go out of the status quo rules of where you can walk when you're doing a talk, I've earned all of your attention. We don't make a digital product or a technology, right? This is very analog. But even though we were doing that, we needed to build a brand that would survive and thrive and flourish in the digital age that we now live in. Now, for me, I think that this digital age is fundamentally about 2 things: transparency and sharing. And if you have a product that is like not very good or only okay, you will be found out and exposed immediately. It's that the only brands that build any awareness whatsoever in this digital world are the brands that people find interesting enough to talk about and share and link to. Now, the Australians, surprisingly, are more conservative than the Americans. The Australian regulators said you can't call it coffee and cigarettes. No, no, no. So we said, okay, we'll just cross that bit out on the label. No problem. And we knew, because we live in a digital world, right, that everyone is going to see this US product on social media, and they're going to know what's underneath the scribble, and then it'll become the story about how we were told, you know, that we couldn't do something, and then we figured out how to do it anyway. That is the wonderful story of stolen coffee and cigarettes. I hope you enjoyed it.